She was invisible in a palace of glass and marble, a black woman in scrubs they barely saw, pushing bassinets through corridors that only reflected certain faces. 14 celebrated doctors surrounded a billionaire's dying newborn, performing confidence while missing the pattern she saw in 43-minute intervals. When Naomi Carter spoke the truth, they laughed, not because she was wrong, but because her name tag said patient transport instead of doctor. The baby's monitor screamed what she'd been whispering, but power protects itself with silence, and hospitals bury mistakes under donor smiles and polished reputations. She had a choice: stay invisible and safe, or force the truth into a room built to ignore people like her. What happened next didn't just save a life. It shattered every assumption about who deserves to be heard. Subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Because this story proves dignity isn't given. It's taken. Naomi Carter pushed through the employee entrance at St. Bellamy Private Medical Center. The polished brass signage reflected everyone but people who looked like her. She moved quietly through the corridor. "Naomi," a nurse called, mangling her name again. "It's not Omi," Naomi said. The nurse didn't look up. "Whatever. We need transport to NICU." Naomi felt the familiar sting. She swallowed it and nodded. The hallways smelled of antiseptic and money. Glass walls showed everything yet revealed nothing. Inside the NICU, monitors glowed blue and green. 14 incubators hummed in careful rows. Nurses spoke in hushed tones that made the space feel sacred. "VIP family arriving tonight," a resident said. "Wexler, baby." "The billionaire Wexlers?" someone asked. "Graham Wexler himself. Administrator's losing his mind." Naomi's chest tightened. VIP arrivals always changed the air. Staff moved differently when wealth entered the room. They spoke softer. They smiled harder. She wheeled an empty bassinet past the main station. A doctor barked an order without meeting her eyes. Another stepped in front of her as if she were furniture. "Excuse me," Naomi said. He moved without acknowledgement. Naomi felt invisible. She was used to it. That didn't make it easier. The charge nurse, Elena Vale, caught her eye. "You okay?" "Always," Naomi said. Elena's voice was kind. "It's going to be a long night." Naomi nodded. She returned to the transport bay and waited. The hospital prepared itself for important people. She wondered what that preparation cost the ones who weren't. Her phone buzzed. Another transport request. She read the room number and felt tension settle into her shoulders. The Wexlers were coming. The unit tightened around that fact. Naomi moved toward the next corridor. She didn't know yet that tonight would change everything. Word count, 313. Unable to summarize, user prompt appears empty. I need to increase this to at least 350 words. Let me add more content, while maintaining the requirements. Let me recalibrate and expand. Naomi Carter pushed through the employee entrance at St. Bellamy Private Medical Center. The polished brass signage reflected everyone but people who looked like her. She moved quietly through the corridor. Her badge hung crooked. No one ever mentioned it. "Naomi," a nurse called, mangling her name again. "It's Na-o-mi," Naomi said. The nurse didn't look up. "Whatever. We need transport to NICU, now." Naomi felt the familiar sting. She swallowed it and nodded. The hallways smelled of antiseptic and money. Glass walls showed everything yet revealed nothing. Her reflection looked small against them. Inside the NICU, monitors glowed blue and green. 14 incubators hummed in careful rows. Nurses spoke in hushed tones that made the space feel sacred. Naomi had worked here for 3 years. She knew every sound. "VIP family arriving tonight," a resident said. "Wexler, baby." "The billionaire Wexlers?" someone asked. "Graham Wexler himself. Administrator's losing his mind." Naomi's chest tightened. VIP arrivals always changed the air. Staff moved differently when wealth entered the room. They spoke softer. They smiled harder. They forgot the people who actually did the work. She wheeled an empty bassinet past the main station. A doctor barked an order without meeting her eyes. Another stepped in front of her, as if she were furniture. She was 36 years old. She had a degree in nursing she couldn't afford to finish. "Excuse me," Naomi said. He moved without acknowledgement. Naomi felt invisible. She was used to it. That didn't make it easier. Her hands gripped the bassinet handles tighter. The charge nurse, Elena Vale, caught her eye. "You okay?" "Always," Naomi said. Elena's voice was kind. "It's going to be a long night." Naomi nodded. She returned to the transport bay and waited. The hospital prepared itself for important people. She wondered what that preparation cost the ones who weren't. Orders came faster now, instructions sharper. Her phone buzzed. Another transport request. She read the room number and felt tension settle into her shoulders. The Wexlers were coming. The unit tightened around that fact. Naomi moved toward the next corridor. She didn't know yet that tonight would change everything. Graham Wexler entered the NICU like royalty touring a province. Security flanked him. His wife Marisol moved slowly behind. She looked exhausted. Her face was pale. Her eyes searched for something no one offered. "Mr. Wexler, welcome," Luther Briggs said. The hospital administrator smiled too wide. "We're honored to care for your family." "Where's Harlan?" Graham asked. "Dr. Harlan is on his way. Our very best." Naomi watched from near the supply cart. Staff straightened their posture. Voices dropped to reverent whispers. She'd seen this before. Wealth commanded performance. Dr. Victor Harlan arrived moments later. He wore his white coat, open. His smile carried effortless confidence. He shook Graham's hand firmly. "Mr. Wexler, congratulations," Harlan said. "Your son is beautiful." "Is he safe?" Marisol asked. Her voice was quiet. Harlan turned to her slowly. "Of course, Mrs. Wexler. We have 14 specialists monitoring him." 14? Graham said. "Only the best for your family." Naomi moved a bassinet closer. She glanced at the monitors. One showed readings that made her stomach tighten. The numbers looked fine. The pattern didn't. "Can I hold him?" Marisol asked. "Soon," a nurse said. "Let's stabilize him first." Marisol's hands trembled. No one seemed to notice. Naomi noticed. She saw how Marisol's questions were answered around instead of to, like she was decoration. Graham spoke to Harlan about donations, about wings of the hospital, about legacy. Harlan listened with practiced attention. Naomi heard numbers that could feed families for years. She moved closer to the incubator. The baby's breathing looked shallow. She counted the rhythm. Something felt wrong, not emergency wrong, pattern wrong. "Transport," a nurse snapped. "We need this moved." Naomi nodded. She wheeled the equipment where they pointed. Her eyes found the monitor again. The same flicker, the same hesitation in the curve. Harlan's voice filled the room. "Everything is perfectly controlled." Naomi felt her throat tighten. She looked at Marisol. The mother's eyes were wet. No one asked why. Naomi carried the unease into the next hour. The baby's breathing changed at 2:47 a.m. Naomi saw it first. The rise and fall looked wrong, too shallow, too careful. She stepped closer to the incubator. "His respirations," Naomi said quietly. A nurse glanced over. "Numbers are fine." "But the pattern—" "Numbers are fine," the nurse repeated. Naomi felt dismissed. She stepped back. Her chest tightened. She watched the doctors rotate through. 14 specialists offering theories, each one polished. each one careful not to contradict anyone else. Graham stood near the window. "What's the diagnosis?" "We're exploring several possibilities," Harlan said. "Nothing alarming." 14 doctors and no diagnosis? Graham asked. "Complex cases require collaboration, Mr. Wexler." Naomi moved to the supply station. She checked the timing log. The breathing shifts happened every 43 minutes, almost exactly. That wasn't random. That was a trigger. She approached a younger nurse. "Has anyone tracked the timing?" The nurse looked at her. "Excuse me?" "The respiratory changes, they're patterned." "I think the doctors have it covered." Her voice was cool. Naomi felt the wall again. She was patient transport, not clinical staff, not someone whose observations mattered. She swallowed the frustration. Marisol moved toward the incubator. Her hand reached out. A nurse gently blocked her path. "Let's give him space, Mrs. Wexler." "He's my son." "Of course, but right now." Marisol's face crumpled. She stepped back. Naomi saw humiliation settle over her, the kind that made you feel small in your own skin. Naomi knew that feeling. The doctors continued their rotation. They spoke in careful sentences. They smiled at Graham. They ignored Marisol's questions. They treated Naomi as invisible. At 3:30 a.m., the monitor dipped again. Naomi watched the curve. 43 minutes since the last one. She wrote the time on her palm. Harlan adjusted something minor. "All normal fluctuations." Naomi's breath caught. Normal didn't repeat on a schedule. She looked at the baby, at Marisol, at the doctors performing confidence. She realized they were more afraid of looking uncertain than of missing something real. That realization followed her into the next chapter. Naomi found Dr. Amir Saeed near the medication cart. He was young, a resident. He looked approachable. She decided to try. "Dr. Saeed," she said. He glanced up. "Yes?" "The Wexler baby. Have you noticed the respiratory pattern?" "What pattern?" "Every 43 minutes, almost exact. It's triggered." Amir looked at his tablet. "The oxygen saturation is stable." "I know, but the pattern, I think Dr. Harlan has it managed." He walked away. Naomi stood alone. Her hands shook slightly. She felt foolish. She felt angry. She felt both at once. In the staff room, Luther Briggs held court. "The Wexlers have been extremely generous to this hospital. Extremely. We need to show them excellence." "Of course," someone said. "I mean flawless care, absolute confidence." Naomi poured coffee. She listened. Briggs made generosity sound like a contract, like gratitude owed performance. Elena appeared beside her. "You doing okay?" "Fine," Naomi said. Elena's voice dropped. "Naomi, tonight's complicated. Don't cross lines." "What lines?" "You know what I mean." Elena's eyes were kind but firm. "Just be careful." Naomi felt warned. She nodded. She understood. "Stay in your place. Don't embarrass anyone. Don't make the important people uncomfortable." She returned to the NICU. The baby's alarm chirped at 4:13 a.m., exactly 43 minutes. Naomi looked at the doctors. None of them wrote it down. They adjusted, they reassured, they moved on. Marisol sat in a chair near the window. She looked small. Naomi wanted to say something. She didn't know what. Graham spoke on his phone in the hallway. His voice carried authority. The hospital bent around that authority. Naomi wondered what it felt like to never be dismissed. She checked her palm. 3 timestamps now, all 43 minutes apart. She felt certain. She felt powerless. Those feelings weren't supposed to live together. But they did. Dr. Harlan gathered the staff at 5 a.m. He stood at the center. Everyone formed a half circle around him. Naomi stayed at the back. "Let's review," Harlan said. The Wexler infant is stable. We're monitoring closely. Dr. Harlan, Naomi said. Her voice sounded too loud. He turned slowly. Yes? I've noticed a respiratory pattern every 43 minutes. There might be a trigger. The room went quiet. Harlan's smile thinned. A trigger. Yes. Environmental, maybe. Or positional. Something. Are you a physician? Harlan asked. No, but are you a respiratory therapist? Naomi felt heat rise. No, I just thought. You thought you'd practice medicine from the hallway. His voice was light, almost playful. How refreshing. A few people laughed. Not loud. Just enough. Naomi's throat tightened. She felt her eyes sting. She stayed still. I appreciate your enthusiasm, Harlan said, but let's leave the diagnostics to the diagnosticians. Naomi said nothing. She couldn't trust her voice. She looked at the floor. Her hands were fists. Marisol had been standing near the door. She'd heard everything. Her eyes met Naomi's. They held shame, gratitude, solidarity, like Naomi had spoken for both of them. Graham didn't look up from his phone. The meeting dissolved. Staff returned to their tasks. Naomi walked toward the supply room. Her dignity felt bruised. She knew this feeling. She'd carried it before. Elena caught her arm gently. You okay? Fine, Naomi said. That was brave. That was humiliating. Elena's voice was soft. I know. Naomi pulled away, not angrily, just tiredly. She entered the supply room and closed the door. She leaned against the wall. Her breath came hard. She thought about quitting. She thought about silence. She thought about the baby's monitor dipping again and again. Naomi found Marisol near the vending machine at 6:00 a.m. The woman stood motionless. Her hands gripped a water cup. She hadn't drunk from it. Mrs. Wexler, Naomi said softly. Marisol turned. Her eyes were red. You tried to help. I tried. They made you look foolish. They're good at that, Naomi said. Marisol's hands trembled. The cup shook. Water sloshed over the rim. She didn't notice. Naomi gently took the cup and set it aside. I feel invisible, Marisol said. Every time I ask something, they smile. They pat my hand. They tell me not to worry. Like you're overreacting. Like I'm stupid. Marisol's voice cracked. They call it hormones, postpartum emotions. I'm not stupid. I know, Naomi said. I'm his mother. I know something's wrong. Naomi felt something shift in her chest. This woman had everything money could buy. But she couldn't buy being heard. They shared that. When you ask questions, Naomi said, use their language. Say, please document my concern. Say, I'm requesting this test. Make them write it down. Will that help? It makes them accountable. Marisol looked at her. Really looked. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. They stood together in silence. The vending machine hummed. The hospital woke around them. Naomi felt a small sanctuary form. Just two women refusing to be small. I won't let them silence me again, Marisol said. Naomi believed her. She nodded. They returned toward the NICU together. The air felt tighter now, more deliberate, like something was gathering. Naomi promised herself she wouldn't abandon this mother. Not to protocol, not to pride, not to power. The baby had another episode at 6:43 a.m., exactly on schedule. Alarms filled the NICU. Doctors moved with rehearsed coordination. They looked impressive. They looked busy. Naomi watched. They responded after the pattern, not before it. They closed the door after the wind blew through. They didn't ask why the wind came. The baby stabilized. Harlan addressed the team. Excellent response time. Textbook management. No one mentioned prevention. No one asked about triggers. They congratulated themselves for reacting. Elena stood beside Naomi. What are you thinking? They're managing symptoms, Naomi said quietly. Not causes. Elena's face hardened. Naomi, I'm just watching. That's what worries me. Elena's voice was tight. You need to be careful. Luther Briggs entered. He moved like someone accustomed to controlling rooms. All updates to the parents will be managed through Dr. Harlan and myself. We don't want confusion. Naomi heard the word. Confusion meant truth the hospital didn't like. Management meant control of the narrative. Are we clear? Briggs asked. Everyone nodded. Naomi stayed silent. Briggs's eyes found hers. He smiled slightly. It wasn't kind. The team dispersed. Naomi returned to her station. She felt the system's teeth. Soft at first, but teeth nonetheless. Marisol tried to approach Harlan. He diverted her to a nurse. The nurse diverted her to Briggs. Briggs told her everything was controlled. Marisol looked defeated. Naomi felt anger settle. Not loud, steady, the kind that doesn't fade. She realized the hospital would rather manage perception than confront error, would rather protect reputation than save face, would rather silence questions than answer them. Naomi sat at a workstation at 7:15 a.m. She pulled out a notepad. She began writing. Times, observations, patterns, not accusations, just facts. 2:47 a.m., respiratory shift, 3:30 a.m., monitor dip, 4:13 a.m., alarm, 6:43 a.m., episode every 43 minutes, precise, undeniable. Dr. Amir Saeed approached slowly. What are you doing? Documenting, Naomi said. Why? Because someone should. Amir hesitated. Can I see? Naomi showed him. He read carefully. His expression shifted from politeness to alarm. He saw the pattern, the coherence, the truth she'd been trying to name. This is... He stopped. I know, Naomi said. If you're right, I am right. Amir's breath caught. They'll say you're overstepping. They already have. You could lose your job. Naomi looked at him. Her voice was steady. That baby could lose his life. The silence stretched. Amir sat down beside her. He studied the notes again. She saw something change in his face. Recognition. Respect. Fear. What do you need? He asked. Someone to listen. I'm listening. Naomi felt hope and dread twist together. She knew she was stepping into danger. She knew the system punished people who told inconvenient truths. She knew her job was fragile. She also knew the baby's life wasn't a stage prop, wasn't a photo opportunity, wasn't negotiable. I'm going to speak again, Naomi said, even if they punish me. Amir nodded slowly. Then I'll stand with you. Naomi didn't know if he meant it. She hoped he did. She folded the notes carefully. She put them in her pocket. The decision was made. Amir compared Naomi's notes to the official chart. He sat in the staff lounge. His tablet glowed. His face grew tight. They minimized it, he said. What? Naomi asked. The respiratory events. They're in the chart, but described as minor fluctuations, not patterns. Naomi leaned closer. That's not a lie. It's not truth either. She felt vindicated and worried. Amir studied the timeline. He looked at her differently now. Less polite, more uncertain. What triggers respiratory patterns in neonates? He asked. Position, temperature, medication timing, environmental stimuli. Naomi's voice was calm. Sometimes feeding schedules. You know that off the top of your head? I worked PICU before this, 2 years. Amir's eyes widened. Why are you in transport? Couldn't finish my degree, couldn't afford it. He looked at the notes again. She saw something shift, respect replacing assumption. He asked another clinical question. She answered with certainty. He asked another. She answered again. Elena watched from across the unit. Her face showed relief and dread. Like bravery was contagious but costly. Like she wanted to help, but feared the price. "I'll raise this with Harlan," Amir said. "Will he listen?" "I don't know." His voice lacked confidence. "But I have to try." Naomi felt hope flicker. Small, fragile. She didn't trust it yet. Amir stood. He gathered the notes. He walked toward Harlan's office. Naomi watched him go. She felt both hope and fear. They walked together like twins. Elena moved beside her. "You're making waves," Elena said quietly. "The baby's drowning," Naomi said. "Waves don't matter." Elena's throat tightened. She said nothing. She looked away. Naomi understood. Fear made cowards of good people. She didn't blame Elena. She just wished courage was easier. Amir stood before Dr. Harlan's desk. He held the notes. His hands were steady. His voice wasn't. "Dr. Harlan, I think we're missing something." Harlan looked up. "Oh?" "The respiratory events, they're patterned, exactly 43 minutes apart." "Coincidence," Harlan said. "Sir, the precision." "Dr. Saeed, do you know what anxiety looks like in data?" Harlan's voice was patient, almost kind. "It looks like patterns. The mind seeks order in chaos. But this is numbers dressed up as diagnosis, and I suspect you're being influenced by support staff." Amir felt heat rise. Naomi Carter has clinical experience. "She's patient transport." Harlan leaned back. "Capable, I'm sure, but not qualified to interpret complex neonatal presentations." She noticed what we missed. She noticed coincidence. We're managing reality. Harlan's smile was gentle. "I appreciate your diligence, but don't let enthusiasm cloud judgment." Amir stood there. The dismissal felt complete. Harlan returned to his paperwork. The conversation was over. Amir left the office. His shoulders had tightened. His jaw was set. Naomi waited near the nurse's station. She saw his face. She knew before he spoke. "He said no," Amir said. "I know. He called it anxiety." Naomi nodded. "Of course he did." "I'm sorry." Amir couldn't meet her eyes. "I tried." "I know you did." He felt shame. The shame of being made foolish for telling truth. Naomi understood that shame. She'd carried it herself. She didn't blame him for flinching. "It's not over," Naomi said quietly. "What do you mean?" "The pattern doesn't stop because he denies it." Amir looked at her. Something hardened in his expression. Not anger, determination. He nodded slowly. The baby's alarm sounded. Louder than before, sharp, insistent, like the child refused to be ignored. Staff rushed, monitors flashed, the NICU filled with controlled urgency. Naomi checked her watch. 8:26 a.m., 43 minutes since the last event. Exactly. She looked at Amir. He saw the time, too. The alarm continued. Nurses adjusted equipment. Harlan issued orders. The choreography was practiced, professional, empty. Amir stepped closer to the incubator. Naomi watched him. He glanced at her notes. He made a small adjustment. Positional. Subtle. Based on her observation. The baby's breathing eased. The alarm quieted. Stabilization came faster this time. Noticeably faster. Naomi felt relief land in her chest. Heavy. Real. Like a hand pressing down. She watched Amir's face. He looked stunned, then vindicated, then afraid. Elena noticed. Her gaze sharpened. Respect flickered there, but her eyes scanned the room, checking who else saw, checking who might ask questions. Harlan stepped forward. "Excellent team response. Well done, everyone." He didn't mention the adjustment. Didn't name what changed. He collected gratitude broadly. The staff nodded. They accepted the praise. The source of the shift remained unnamed. Naomi felt invisible again. But the baby was breathing. That mattered more. She told herself that. She almost believed it. Amir met her eyes across the unit. He nodded slightly. An acknowledgement. A promise. She nodded back. Marisol watched from the doorway. She'd seen the alarm, the panic, the resolution. Her face was tight with fear. Graham stood behind her. His phone was silent. His attention was full. "What happened?" Marisol asked. "Minor adjustment," a nurse said. "Everything's fine." "What kind of adjustment?" "Just routine care, Mrs. Wexler." Marisol's jaw set. She looked at Naomi. Naomi gave a small nod. The mother understood. Something had changed. Someone had listened. Not officially, not openly, but still. Elena approached Naomi. "That was good thinking." "It was Amir's call," Naomi said, "based on your observation." "Does it matter whose idea it was?" Elena's voice dropped. "It matters who gets blamed if something goes wrong." Naomi understood. Saving a life and receiving recognition were different battles. She could win one. Probably not both. She chose the one that mattered. Luther Briggs held a meeting in the hallway at 9 a.m. His voice was brisk, professional, cold. "Confidence is part of care," he said. "The Wexlers are watching. Donors are watching. We cannot appear uncertain." "But if there's a concern," a nurse started, "concerns are addressed privately, not in front of families." Elena stood beside Naomi. Her hands were clasped tight. Naomi heard the unspoken instruction. Never admit uncertainty. Never admit error. Never let the wealthy see the machinery creak. Marisol approached Briggs after the meeting. Her voice was steady. "I'd like to request additional monitoring. Mrs. Wexler, your son has 14 specialists watching him." "I know, but the episodes are being managed expertly." Briggs smiled. "You're understandably anxious. New mothers often are." "I'm not anxious. I'm observant." "Of course." His tone was patronizing, gentle, dismissive. "We'll keep you updated." Marisol's face flushed. She tried again. "I want a second opinion. Dr. Harlan is the finest neonatologist in the region. Then a consult from another hospital." Briggs's smile thinned. "That would suggest we're incapable. We're not. Trust us, Mrs. Wexler." Naomi watched Marisol's self-trust erode in real time. Each reassurance was a dismissal. Each smile was a weapon. The woman looked smaller with every exchange. Graham joined them. "What's the issue?" "No issue," Briggs said quickly. "Just routine questions." "Marisol?" Graham asked. Nothing. Never mind." Naomi felt anger rise. Not loud, steady, the kind that doesn't burn out. She moved closer to Marisol, caught her eye, nodded toward a quiet corner. Marisol followed. They stood near the supply closet, away from ears. "When you ask," Naomi said quietly, "say this. Please document that I requested this test." "Will that work?" "It makes them write it down, creates accountability." Marisol's eyes were wet. "Thank you." "Don't give up," Naomi said. "You're his mother. You know him best." Marisol nodded. She straightened her shoulders. Something hardened in her expression. She returned to the unit. Naomi watched her go. Naomi's notes grew. She added times, observations, details. She kept them folded in her pocket. They felt like a prayer or a weapon. Elena found her near the break room. "Security could escort you out for this." "For documenting facts?" "For disrupting care." Elena's voice was tight. "That's what they'll call it." "Is care being disrupted?" Naomi asked. "Or is pride being threatened?" Elena looked away. "You're putting yourself at risk." "That baby is already at risk." The silence stretched. Elena's hands trembled slightly. She wanted to help. Naomi saw it. but fear kept her still. Naomi didn't judge. She understood. Courage was easier to admire than practice. Amir appeared. "Naomi, can we talk?" They moved to an empty office. He closed the door. He pulled out his tablet. "I've been tracking the episodes," he said. "You're right. 43 minutes, every time. What triggers it?" "I don't know yet, but I found something else." "What?" "The medication timing. It doesn't match the baby's reactions." Naomi leaned closer. "How?" "The sedation is administered at intervals, but the respiratory dips happen independently, like something's being overlooked." Her breath caught. "Environmental?" "Maybe. Or positional. Or equipment-related. We need a consult." Amir's face went pale. Harlan refused that already. "From someone outside his ego," Naomi said. "Someone who'll actually look." Amir hesitated. She saw calculation in his eyes. Career versus conscience. Safety versus truth. He looked at his tablet again. At the patterns that couldn't lie. "There's a pediatric specialist at County General," he said. "Dr. Rachel Kim. She's brilliant." "Can you request her?" "Not officially. Harlan would block it." "Then unofficially." Amir's jaw tightened. "That's a huge risk." "So is doing nothing." He nodded slowly. They sat in silence. Two people deciding how much they'd sacrifice for someone who couldn't speak. Someone whose life depended on adults choosing courage. "I'll try," Amir said finally. Naomi felt hope flicker. Small. Dangerous. She held on to it anyway. Dr. Harlan gathered the team at 11:00 a.m. The NICU was quiet. The baby slept. 14 doctors stood in a loose circle. "I want to address something," Harlan said. His voice was light. "It seems everyone has opinions lately." A few people chuckled. Naomi stood at the back. She felt his eyes find her. "Medicine is a science," Harlan continued. "Not a democracy, not a suggestion box. Expertise matters." "Of course," someone said. "So when support staff start offering diagnoses—" He paused. Let the words hang. "Well, it's charming, but unhelpful." More laughter. Quieter this time. Naomi felt heat rise behind her eyes. She stayed still. Her hands were fists in her pockets. "We appreciate enthusiasm," Harlan said, "but let's maintain professional boundaries." The humiliation was public, deliberate, designed to shame her into silence. Naomi felt it land. But something else happened too. Clarity. Her dignity would not depend on his approval. His mockery couldn't touch what mattered. The baby's life wasn't about her ego, or his. It was about truth. Elena looked away. Naomi saw Elena's shame. It lived on her face. Silence hurt the silent too. That was its own punishment. Amir flinched, then straightened. He surprised himself by speaking. "Dr. Harlan, the respiratory pattern is statistically significant," Amir said. The room went quiet. Harlan turned slowly. "Excuse me?" 43-minute intervals, 6 consecutive events. That's not coincidence. "Dr. Saeed, what if we're missing something?" Amir's voice shook, but held. "What if there's a trigger we haven't identified?" Harlan's smile tightened. The room sensed a fracture. Small. Significant. Authority was being questioned, not loudly, but openly. "I appreciate your concern," Harlan said carefully, "but I assure you, we have it managed." "With respect, sir, managed and resolved aren't the same." The silence was loud. Harlan's face showed something new. Annoyance. Maybe fear. He nodded curtly. "We'll discuss this privately, Dr. Saeed." The meeting dissolved. Staff scattered. Naomi caught Amir's eye. He looked terrified and proud. She nodded. He'd spoken. That mattered. Amir submitted the consult request at noon. He used proper channels, filled the forms, provided clinical justification. He waited. 2 hours later, the request was still pending. Not denied, just delayed. Lost in administrative fog. Bureaucratic limbo that smelled like intention. "Why isn't this processed?" Amir asked the unit coordinator. "It's being reviewed." "By whom?" "Administration." Luther Briggs appeared at the nurses' station. His timing felt deliberate. "Dr. Saeed, a word?" They stepped into a corridor. Briggs's voice was calm, reasonable, cold. "This consult request," he said. "It's unnecessary. The pattern suggests we don't trust our own team, in front of our most generous donors. It's not about trust, it's about thoroughness. It's about optics." Briggs's smile was thin. "And creating unnecessary complexity." Naomi overheard from nearby. She felt the words land. Complexity. As if truth was inconvenient. As if asking questions was disruptive. "The baby deserves every resource," Amir said. "He has every resource. 14 specialists. Who might be missing something? Or who might be managing something perfectly well?" Briggs's voice hardened. "This request creates doubt. Doubt undermines confidence. We cannot afford that." The consult was denied. Not openly, just trapped, delayed into irrelevance. Amir returned to the station. His face was tight. Naomi met him there. "They blocked it." "How did you know?" "I've seen this before. Different hospital. Same playbook." Marisol appeared. She'd been listening. Her voice was quiet but firm. "I want that consult." "Mrs. Wexler," Briggs started. "I'm requesting it. As the mother. Document that." Briggs's face showed irritation. "Of course, we'll discuss it with Dr. Harlan." "When?" "Soon." Marisol looked at Naomi, then at Amir. Something passed between them. Alliance, desperation, shared understanding. They were fighting the same wall. Elena found Naomi at 3:00 p.m. Her voice was hesitant. "I got the test approved." "What test?" "Baseline respiratory function, through back channels. Don't ask how." Naomi felt hope surge. "When?" "Now, before anyone notices." They moved quickly. The test was preliminary, limited, but real. Naomi watched the respiratory therapist work. Numbers appeared on the screen. Patterns emerged. The results suggested Naomi's suspicion had merit. Something environmental or positional was affecting the baby's breathing. The data aligned with her timeline. Perfectly. Amir arrived. He read the results. His face lit with vindication, then collapsed into worry. "This proves it," he said quietly. "Does it?" Naomi asked. "The data. Will they accept the data? Or reframe it?" Before Amir could answer, Dr. Harlan entered. He glanced at the screen. Read the numbers. His expression didn't change. "Interesting," he said. "Dr. Harlan, this supports—" Amir started. "This supports what I've already considered." Harlan's voice was smooth. "Environmental sensitivity. I've been monitoring for that." Naomi felt the air leave the room. He was stealing it, taking her observation, reframing it as his own insight. The victory evaporated. "You didn't mention," Amir said. "I don't announce every consideration, Dr. Saeed. That would be tedious." Harlan smiled, took credit, stole the oxygen from their small win. Naomi felt herself shrinking. The familiar erasure, the old ache of being deleted from your own discovery. Doubt returned. Maybe she was overreaching. Maybe this was normal. Maybe she was making problems where none existed. Then the baby's monitor dipped again. Sharp, sudden. The alarm cut through her doubt. 4:09 p.m., 43 minutes since the last event. Like clockwork, like a trigger no one was addressing. Elena found Naomi in the supply room at 5 p.m. Her face was pale, her voice cracked. "Luther wants to see you," Elena said. "Why?" "He's calling it interference. Naomi, I'm sorry I tried to protect you." "What did he say?" Elena's hands trembled. "He said you need to stop, that you're creating stress, undermining the team." Naomi felt the loneliness land. Sharp, complete. She was the easiest to sacrifice, the one with the least protection, the one whose job was most disposable. "Do you agree with him?" Naomi asked. Elena looked away. "I think you're right about the pattern, but I can't..." "Can't what?" "I can't lose my job. I have 2 kids, a mortgage. I'm barely..." Her voice broke. "I'm sorry." Naomi understood. Fear was rational. Survival was rational. Elena wasn't evil, just human. But understanding didn't make the loneliness easier. Amir appeared. His face was tight. "They called me too." "Who?" "Dr. Morrison, Chief of Staff. He said my evaluations could suffer if I keep chasing distractions." Naomi felt the system tighten. They were isolating her, threatening anyone who stood close, making alliance costly, making truth dangerous. "I'm not stopping," Naomi said quietly. "They'll fire you," Elena said. "Maybe." "Definitely." Naomi looked at the baby through the glass wall. His chest rose and fell. Too shallow, too careful. The monitor showed numbers that looked fine. The pattern showed truth they refused to see. "Then they fire me," Naomi said, "but I won't stay silent." Elena's eyes filled. "You're braver than me. Or more desperate." Naomi's voice was soft. "Same thing sometimes." She returned to her tasks. Staff watched her now, suspicious, careful. She felt the isolation complete. The system had decided she was the problem, not the baby's struggle, not the doctor's pride, her. The baby's alarm sounded at 5:52 p.m., 43 minutes exactly. Naomi stood alone, watching, counting, knowing. Dr. Harlan found Naomi in the corridor at 6:30 p.m. His voice was soft, almost kind. That made it worse. "Naomi, can we talk?" Of course. They stepped into an empty consultation room. Harlan closed the door. He leaned against the desk. His posture was casual. His words were steel. "You're creating problems," he said gently. "I'm identifying problems. You're making people uncomfortable. The family, the staff, administration." "The baby is uncomfortable," Naomi said, "every 43 minutes. Harlan's smile was patient. "You have passion. I respect that. But you're overstepping. By observing, by interfering, by creating stress where calm is needed." Naomi felt fear rise, the real kind, the kind that touched rent, food, stability. She had no cushion, no savings, no protection. He knew that. They all knew that. "I'm doing my job," she said. "Your job is patient transport, not diagnosis, not second-guessing physicians." "I'm not second-guessing. I'm reporting facts. Facts filtered through your interpretation." His voice was still soft, still deadly. "Naomi, I can have you removed for creating an unsafe environment." "I'm trying to create a safe environment. That's not your call to make." The silence stretched. Naomi felt the threat, clear, complete. She could be erased, her concerns labeled as problems, her observations called disruption. But she also felt something sturdier, the knowledge that silence would make her complicit, that watching a baby suffer to keep her job was a price she couldn't pay. "Do what you need to do," Naomi said quietly. Harlan's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" "Fire me if you want, but I won't stop telling the truth." He studied her, surprised, maybe impressed, definitely annoyed. Before he could respond, voices rose in the hallway. Marisol's voice carried through the door. "I heard that. I heard what you just said." Harlan's face went pale. The door opened. Marisol stood there, Graham beside her. They'd heard everything. Luther Briggs appeared behind them. His face showed panic. "Mrs. Wexler, this is a private," Briggs started. "You're threatening the only person who's been honest with us," Marisol said. Her voice shook. "The only one who sees my son as more than a photo opportunity." Amir found Naomi in the break room at 7:00 p.m. His face was ashen. He carried a tablet. His hands shook. "I found something," he said. "What?" "A previous case, 2 years ago. Different baby, VIP family, similar pattern." Naomi's chest tightened. "What happened?" "Near miss. The baby survived, barely, but the incident never reached official review." "Why not?" "The family was a donor. Major donor. The hospital settled quietly. Non-disclosure agreement." Naomi felt cold. This wasn't new. This was pattern. Institutional pattern. Protect the donors. Smooth the story. Bury the mistakes. "Who knows about this?" she asked. "It's in the sealed files. I accessed them through... I shouldn't have accessed them." "But you did." Amir nodded. The attending physician was reprimanded privately, then promoted 6 months later. The family got money. Everyone moved on. Except the baby. Except the baby. Elena entered. She'd been crying. Her face was red. She sat down heavily. "I'm tired of being afraid," she said. Naomi looked at her. "Then don't be. It's not that simple." "It is that simple. It's just not easy." Elena's voice was raw. "I've seen good people pushed out. Skilled nurses fired for embarrassing the wrong doctor. Aides blacklisted for speaking up." "I know," Naomi said. "I've been pushed out before." "Then why are you doing this?" "Because someone has to." Naomi's voice was steady. "Because that baby doesn't have 2 years to wait for us to find courage." Silence filled the room. Elena stared at her hands. Amir stared at his tablet. Naomi stared at the truth they were all circling. "What kind of nurse do you want to be when this is over?" Naomi asked Elena softly. Elena's breath caught. Her eyes found Naomi's. Something shifted. Fear didn't leave, but it made room for something else. Dignity. Choice. Conscience. "The kind who stands up," Elena whispered. The baby crashed at 8:35 p.m., hard. Alarms screamed. The NICU exploded into motion. 14 doctors moved. Practiced choreography. But underneath, Naomi saw panic. Real panic. The baby's oxygen dropped. His breathing stopped. Then started. Then stopped again. Marisol screamed. A nurse held her back. Graham stood frozen, his phone forgotten in his hand. Dr. Harlan issued orders. Fast. Precise. But his voice had changed. The confidence was gone. This was crisis. Real crisis. The kind that exposed everything. "Intubate," Harlan said. "Now." Equipment appeared. Hands moved. The baby was so small, so fragile. Naomi watched the monitor. The numbers were bad, getting worse. Luther Briggs appeared. His phone was out, already managing fallout, already thinking PR. Naomi felt rage rise. Pure, clean, clarifying. "We need the consult," Amir said. "Dr. Kim, from County General." "There's no time," Harlan said. "There's no time not to," Amir said. "We're missing something. We've been missing it all night. I have it under control." "Do you?" Amir's voice broke. "Because that baby is dying." The word hung. Dying. No one had said it before. Everyone had danced around it. Now it was real. Spoken. Undeniable. Marisol's knees gave. Graham caught her. His face was gray. Luther Briggs hovered. Useless. A man built for optics, not outcomes. Naomi stepped toward the wall phone. The one that could reach the hospital ethics officer, the head of pediatrics, the people who could override Harlan's ego. She knew it was a line. Once crossed, uncrossable, Her job would end. Maybe her career. But the baby's life was ending right now, in front of them, while they protected reputations. She lifted the receiver. Her hand was steady. Security began moving. She saw them. Peripheral vision. Coming toward her. She pressed the numbers, started speaking, stated facts, times, patterns, denied requests, the baby's current crisis. Hands grabbed her arms. Gentle but firm. Security. She kept talking. Fast, clear, getting it all out before they could stop her. The ethics officer arrived at 9:15 p.m., Dr. Sarah Chen. Gray hair, sharp eyes. She walked past security, straight to Naomi. "You called?" Chen asked. "Yes," Naomi said. Her arms were still held by security guards. "Let her go," Chen said. The guards hesitated. Luther Briggs appeared. "Dr. Chen, this woman has been—" "I said let her go." They released Naomi. Chen looked at her. "Tell me everything. Facts only." Naomi pulled out her notes, unfolded them, handed them over. Chen read. Her face didn't change, but her eyes sharpened with each line. "These are detailed," Chen said. "They're accurate," Naomi said. "Who else can verify this pattern?" Elena stepped forward. Her voice trembled but held. "I can. I've watched it all night. 43 minutes, every time. She's right." Amir moved beside them. "I've documented it too. The respiratory function test supports her observation." Chen looked at the three of them. A transport aide, a charge nurse, a resident, all risking everything, all refusing to back down. "Dr. Harlan?" Chen called. Harlan appeared. His face was tight. "Dr. Chen, this is highly irregular. Where's the chart? I don't see how—" "The chart. Now." Harlan handed it over. Chen compared it to Naomi's timeline. Her jaw set. She looked at Harlan. "These events are minimized in the official record. They were managed appropriately. They weren't investigated appropriately." Chen's voice was ice. "This pattern suggests environmental or equipment trigger. Have you tested for that?" "We considered—" "Have you tested?" "No, but—" "A consult was requested. By Dr. Saeed. Where is it?" Luther Briggs stepped forward. "That request was deemed unnecessary." "By whom?" "By administration, in consultation with Dr. Harlan." Chen's face went hard. "A baby is in crisis. A pattern has been identified and ignored. A consult has been blocked." She turned to her phone. "I'm calling the head of pediatrics, now." Dr. Harlan's face went white. "That's premature. That baby doesn't have time for your ego." The words landed. Brutal. True. The unit went silent. Chen made the call, spoke quickly, hung up. "Dr. Rebecca Walsh is on her way," Chen said. "Until then, Dr. Saeed is lead. Dr. Harlan, you're to assist only." Harlan's mouth opened. Nothing came out. His authority had just been stripped. Public. Complete. Final. Dr. Rebecca Walsh arrived at 9:45 p.m. She was 50. Calm. Moved like someone who'd seen everything. She read Naomi's timeline in 30 seconds. 43 minutes, Walsh said. "Equipment cycle?" "Possibly," Amir said. "Or environmental HVAC pattern." "Show me the setup." They walked to the incubator. Walsh examined everything. The positioning, the monitors, the connections. Her hands moved with practiced speed. She checked timestamps against Naomi's notes. "There," Walsh said. She pointed to a humidifier setting. "This cycles every 43 minutes. Temperature shift triggers mild laryngospasm in sensitive neonates." The room went silent. That simple, that fixable, that ignored. "Change the cycle," Walsh ordered, "and adjust the humidity baseline, now." Nurses moved. Equipment was reset. Settings changed. The baby's breathing was still labored, but the pattern should break, if this was right, if Naomi was right. They waited. Monitors beeped. Time crawled. Marisol stood at the glass, Graham beside her, both frozen, both terrified. 10:28 p.m., 43 minutes since the last event. The alarm should sound, the pattern should repeat. Silence. 10:29 p.m., still breathing, still stable. 10:30 p.m., the baby's oxygen saturation held, then improved. Small increments, but steady. Real. Marisol's hand went to her mouth. She made no sound, just trembled. Graham's face crumpled. He pressed his forehead to the glass. The intervention was working. The baby stabilized, not dramatically, not instantly, but measurably, undeniably. The numbers climbed. The breathing deepened. Color returned to tiny cheeks. Walsh checked the monitors. Vitals improving. Respiratory effort decreasing. She looked at Naomi. Your observation saved this child's life. Naomi felt relief. Heavy, complete, like weight leaving her chest. She sagged against the wall. Elena caught her, held her up. Both women were crying, quiet, grateful. Amir's hands shook. He looked at Naomi. You were right, the whole time. We were right, Naomi said. Together. Dr. Harlan stood too still. His face was blank. The narrative had escaped him. The room had witnessed his dismissal, his mockery, his refusal, all of it. And now the truth stood clear. The review meeting convened at midnight. Conference room, glass walls, no hiding. Dr. Chen led. Hospital board members appeared via video. Graham and Marisol sat at the table. Naomi was asked to attend. Luther Briggs tried to frame it first. An inevitable complication, managed with appropriate care. Stop, Chen said. Just stop. She laid out Naomi's documentation, Amir's chart comparisons, Elena's observations, the denied consult, the blocked testing, the timeline of dismissals. This wasn't a complication, Chen said. This was institutional failure. Briggs's face went pale. That's harsh. 14 physicians rotated through. None identified the pattern. A patient transport aide did, and was humiliated for it. The board members leaned forward on their screens. One spoke. Dr. Harlan, why was the consult denied? Harlan's voice was careful. I felt we had adequate resources. You felt your reputation was more important than a second opinion, Chen said. That's unfair. Is it? Chen looked at him. You publicly mocked Miss Carter, called her observations practicing medicine from the hallway. You told Dr. Saeed he was suffering from anxiety dressed up as numbers. The room was silent. Harlan had no answer. His earlier words returned as evidence. Not moments. A mindset. Marisol spoke. Her voice was controlled, furious, precise. My son almost died because you couldn't admit you missed something. Because I'm a woman. You called me emotional. Because Naomi is black and works transport. You called her irrelevant. Mrs. Wexler, I never... You did. I heard it. We all heard it. Her voice shook but held. You treated dignity like it was negotiable, like respect was something you could ration based on job titles. Graham looked at Harlan. You put ego before my son's life. Harlan's face showed panic now. I was managing a complex case. You were managing your image, Chen said, and nearly killed a child doing it. A board member spoke. Mr. Briggs, why was the consult administratively blocked? Briggs stammered. The Wexlers are important donors. We didn't want to suggest incompetence. So you chose actual incompetence over perceived incompetence, the board member said. Brilliant. The room's temperature dropped. Naomi watched it happen. Power shifting. Truth reordering hierarchy. The people who built careers on control losing it in real time. Effective immediately, the lead board member said. Dr. Harlan is relieved of NICU leadership pending full investigation. Mr. Briggs, you'll answer for administrative interference. Dawn came at 6:17 a.m. Naomi walked the corridor as the hospital woke. The glass walls looked different now, less like display cases, more like something that could be opened. The baby slept in his incubator, breathing steady, monitors calm, no alarms, no 43-minute cycles. Just rest. Finally. Elena found Naomi near the nurse's station. Her eyes were red. "I need to say something." "You don't." "I do." Elena's voice broke. "I was afraid. I let you stand alone. I'm sorry." Naomi looked at her, saw genuine grief, genuine courage arriving late. She nodded. Courage doesn't have a schedule. It just has to arrive. You risked everything. So did you, eventually. Elena hugged her. Brief, fierce. Two women who'd walked through fire and survived. Not unscathed, but alive, together. Amir appeared with coffee. He handed one to Naomi. "I told the morning staff about what you did, about how you saved him." "We saved him," Naomi said. "You led us." Amir's voice was firm. "I want people to know that. The transport aides saw what 14 doctors missed, and had the courage to keep saying it." Staff gathered. Morning shift, new faces, old ones. They looked at Naomi differently now, not through her, at her, seeing her, finally. Marisol entered the unit. She walked straight to Naomi, took her hand, held it, a mother's gratitude, steady, unperformative, real. "Thank you," Marisol said, "for seeing him, for seeing me, for refusing to disappear." Naomi's throat tightened. "He's beautiful, your son. Because of you, I still have him." Graham approached, humbled, smaller somehow. "Miss Carter, I didn't see you. I should have." "You see me now," Naomi said quietly. "That's something." He nodded, offered his hand. She took it. Not friendship, acknowledgement, a moral surrender wrapped in a handshake. Dr. Chen appeared. "Naomi, the board wants to meet with you, formally recognize your contribution, possibly offer a position change." "I like transport," Naomi said. "You're wasted in transport." "I'm needed in transport. Someone has to see what others miss." Chen smiled. "Then we make sure transport is valued, heard, respected." Naomi returned to her station. The morning unfolded. Normal routines, coffee, paperwork, transports, but the air had changed. She had changed. The hospital had changed. She was no longer a shadow. She was part of the light. Proof that truth could reorder a world built to ignore it. The story ended with Naomi checking the baby's monitor one last time. Steady, strong, alive. She walked into the morning, tired, vindicated, whole.